All right, folks, thanks for sticking around. We would hope that some of our education-interested folks would stick around for council too, but y'all are still here, and that's what counts. We're going to kick off with our council candidates for District 3 now. We'll go ahead and let them introduce ourselves. Councilor Abbott, if you want to begin, take 2 minutes, introduce yourself, why you're running, and what you hope to accomplish if elected.
I'm assuming this is on, right? Okay. My name is Valerie Abbott, and I am the incumbent city councilor for District 3. I have been in office for about 15 and a half years, and during that time I have increased my love for the city of Birmingham and increased my patience level, which is something that everyone on the city council needs to learn to do. The reason that I'm running for re-election to the city council, I tell my colleagues on the council, it's because the World Games are coming, and that I want to make sure that we're ready for the World Games, and there is a measure of truth in that. But also, I want to continue doing what I have been doing, which is meeting with all of my neighborhood associations, all of the neighborhood people in District 3, at neighborhood meetings, and finding out what people in the community want to see happen rather than what I think should happen. Because sometimes the people who live in the community have entirely different ideas about what should be done and what we should pursue with our capital funds and what issues are important. So I think that those are the reasons that I'm running. I was a neighborhood officer for 17 years. David Herring, who is our past city councilman for District 3, is here, and he set the example. He's the one who made me want to run for city council, because I saw what he did, and I thought that I could do that too. I don't know whether he thinks I've done a good job of following along after him, but I've tried very hard. And one of the things that I do plan on pursuing in the very near future when I'm reelected is some changes to the city's noise ordinance, because as more people have moved into areas that are not traditional residential areas, it has caused a lot of trouble for people trying to sleep at night. So there we are. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Jones. I'm also running for City Council in District 3. I'm running because we need accountability and transparency at City Hall. We need an active advocate to make sure that what our residents want to see happen happens. Currently, we have a very large disconnect between our council and our mayor, between our city leadership and residents. But I have a couple of questions. What kind of city is Birmingham? What do you want to see in the future? What kind of city do we want to become? And we are no longer a steel city. We're no longer a banking city. Those periods in our history have passed. What are we going to become in the future? Well, what we are right now is a university city. We're a medical city. We're a burgeoning biotech city. We need to double down on that. We need leadership that can understand how to push us forward in those manners. And I think I can. We're in a crux right now. Right now, we have a large portion of our city, at least 30%, that lives in poverty. What are we going to do to address that? We have a city council and mayor that they don't even interact. He doesn't attend council meetings. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to get a school system to function properly? We have to develop those relationships. And it's by developing those relationships through and through that we can build our city into a bright future. I'm relatively young. I'm 37. I'm newly married. This is my home. I've lived here for over 20 years. I've lived here for over 18 years. And I want to build this city into the future, and with your help, we will, but only together. Thank you.
And we'll start with you, Mr. Jones. What is the most pressing issue in the city today?
The most pressing issue in the city today is the public trust. Is that our citizens don't believe in our city, and that our city government works, that it functions correctly. And we have to show that we can have an accountable city. We have to show our citizens that we can do good things for them and respond every time to their needs. Our road system barely functions. I'm not the only one that has had to replace a tire on 14th, or because of the potholes on 14th. I'm not the only one that has had water runoff issues. I've heard from residents all across the city about various infrastructure issues. But it's not just that, it's the way our departments are siloed, they don't talk to each other. It's the way our leadership interacts with each other, or the lack thereof, or the very caustic nature of it. We have to bring accountability back to the city, and I will do so.
The most important issue in Birmingham right now is jobs. Now, you might think, okay, what about crime? What about potholes? What about education? But if you have jobs, you reduce crime because the people don't have to go out and rob and steal from other people or deal drugs on the street corners if they have a good job. It is true that education is a difficult nut to crack, as you've heard from our last two board candidates. But that is not the city of Birmingham's primary job, since they are an elected body and run their own system. What we've got to do is find jobs and perform job training for adults who need a job, can't find a job, maybe they're not even trained to do a job. We've got to help with those issues. If we have sufficient jobs for the people who live in Birmingham, then our neighborhoods will be better places, and everything will improve. The schools will improve if the parents of the children have decent jobs that pay a living wage. So I think that even though it's not the first thing that comes to your mind, jobs are one of the most important things that the city needs, and the training to do the jobs if people are not sufficiently trained right now.
Thank you, Councilor. We'll begin with you again. What do you propose? How do you propose to better communicate with citizens in your district?
Well, the first thing is I intend to continue to attend all of my neighborhood association meetings. Now, I used to have 14 neighborhood associations, and attending all of those meetings every month was a real challenge, but I worked really hard to do it. Now, this district, because of the redistricting, has 7 neighborhood associations, so it makes it somewhat easier to attend those meetings. The citizens who come to those meetings are usually the people who are the most interested in the community and the most active. It is true that some people just show up when there's a special issue, but at most neighborhood meetings you have the people who are truly invested in the community and are willing to give up TV time, school time, sometimes family time to be at those neighborhood meetings and to have input and to do things to improve the community. When we, as council members, get to select our bond issue projects, the projects that are selected are ones that have been brought forth by people at those neighborhood meetings. Now, we have a Facebook page and some other means of communicating, but not everyone, especially older citizens, not everyone is out there on Facebook every day. But, you know, and then there also are the other means of communication, such as the dreaded robocalls, which I try to never do. I might do one during the campaign, but that would be it. But I think seeing people in person, participating in neighborhood events, participating in neighborhood cleanups where you have lots of time to talk to other people about what they think is going on in the community. I think face-to-face is much better than electronic communication. Maybe it's because it's what I'm used to, but I think that dealing with you and you and you face-to-face is more important than just sending you a piece of paper or talking to you on a radio show or something like that. Although those are all fine means of communication. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Jones?
Well, in order to communicate with our residents, there's a lot of different manners we can do this. One, I'll answer my phone calls and I'll return them. I will answer emails, and I'll make sure my staff does as well. It's important that we have open, constant communication with our residents and answer all the questions that you have towards us. Even if that's an answer you don't necessarily like, at least we'll respond with, you know, the correct one, or at least a factual one. But the question is, how are we going to communicate with our community? The answer is, she's absolutely right. We had that, and I will continue on her trend of attending neighborhood association meetings. That is absolutely part of the job of a counselor. I have to commend Councilwoman Abbott for that. On top of that, what we have is we have an opportunity to really reach our residents that don't attend council meetings. There are processes through which we can send out automated messages, and they don't have to necessarily be phone calls, though they can be. They can be text messages, automated emails, social media. There's many manners in which we can reach out to everybody, and the purpose of that would be to have a more broad-based, targeted communication network in which the neighborhood associations can reach a much wider scope of the residents than they currently do. And that's informing them, you know, what's on the agenda for the upcoming meeting. When's the next neighborhood cleanup? When's the next special event? If we're not doing this, we're just laying on the table what we already, you know, we're laying on the table an opportunity to engage our citizens that we shouldn't. Programs like that already exist, and they already exist through the city, specifically in our emergency services. We can use the same companies and expand their role. I would do that, and I would specifically work with the neighborhood association presidents to make sure that they have access to that, so that it goes out every month or more often if it's necessary. So communicating with our residents is of the utmost importance, and we have to utilize all the technology that we have at our disposal to do so.
What committees do you want to sit on and why?
Well, I've been thinking about this for a while, and the real answer is you can put me on any of the committees, and I would find a use for it. I have a pretty extensive priority list of things that we need to accomplish in the city, and I do have a few specific ones that I would prefer. So I prefer the Administrative and Tech Committee. I prefer the Public Safety and Transportation. I prefer Planning and Zoning. But you could put me on any of them. So, for example, while I wouldn't mind being on the Public Improvements and Beautification Committee. I think that we need to engage in we need to endow and push a citywide public arts program. One that we can work through our neighborhood associations, one that will allow us to really put some teeth into the idea that we're having a Birmingham Renaissance. That'd be great. But for administration and tech, there's so much. Let's see. So for administration and tech, I want to make sure that we're having. Let's see. So part of that is intergovernmental relations. In our city, we have such bad relationships between our municipality and other municipalities. It's predicated on the fact that there's no relationship between them. None of the elected officials interact. I would work towards building regional cooperation so that we can accomplish things without fighting over everything. I would work with Montgomery as well. Let's see, Birmingham Waterworks. That's also administration and tech. I'm going to call for an audit of the Birmingham Waterworks. A full audit. The council and the commission can use that. They haven't done so yet. I would also call for the reintegration of the waterworks into the city as a normal department of the city. For 15 years ago, we spun it out, and it was a failed experiment. Let's bring it back in. Thank you.
Well, I think I've served on all the committees of the council, and I can tell you that the three most important committees to me are budget and finance, because you get to help determine where the money goes. That's probably the most important one. Economic development is the second most important one, because you get to help drive the city in the direction that it needs to go to try to attract more businesses to come to the city to bring more jobs. And the last one is my personal favorite, which I have been over a great deal of my career as a city councilman, and that is planning and zoning. Because a zoning change or a variance change, any of those things, that changes your community permanently, forever. And forever is a long time. You know, most people, the council used to give me planning and zoning because I was in the actual minority on the council, and they could give me whatever they wanted, and I just had to take it. They thought planning and zoning was the worst committee to put a person on, so let's give it to Abbott. Well, I thought that was fantastic, because in Glen Iris and 5 Point South and Highland Park, to an extent, zoning changes are the thing that came up to bite us where it hurt the most often. And I wanted to see the government that I was part of being more responsive to the residents, instead of always responsive to the business or entity that wanted to change the zoning. And the last thing I will say, because my time is running out, is that I fought for a new comprehensive plan for the city. And that's probably one of my most proud accomplishments, because none of the mayors were interested until Mayor Bell came along. We had not had a new comprehensive plan in 50 years. 50 years we were operating with a comprehensive plan that was so old nobody could remember what it said. So those are the things that are important to me. Thank you.
Thank you, because this is a personal favorite topic of mine as it regards the relationship with the state government, we would like to get your thoughts on the recent changes to the Mayor-Council Act, what changes you would like to see moving forward, in general, how you would build a better relationship with the legislature to build a better case for home rule, and in general, kind of give your thoughts on that subject, because it has been a rather contentious one. So, yeah, you can start, Councilman.
Okay, now, how much time do we have to answer?
Well, in general, just talk about the Mayor-Council Act and what changes you'd like to see with the legislature.
Yeah, that was a pretty loaded question. Well, first of all, I do not have a bad relationship with the people in the legislature. And I think you can talk to any of them and find out. The people that had the bad relationship went down there and antagonized people and said things to them that just poisoned the well for all of us. But I was not a participant. I refused to travel down there with them because it was a bad idea. And look what happened to us. The Mayor Council Act changes would never have occurred if they weren't madder than wet hens at certain members of the council and wanted to teach them a lesson. Now, the Mayor Council Act is antiquated. It's poorly written. It was written a long time ago. The language has changed. But it also, you can read the Mayor Council Act, and I invite you to, because if you suffer from insomnia, you will enjoy the Mayor Council Act. And it is on the city's website. And it spells out what the city council does, what the mayor does, and what all of the departments do. And it's invaluable reading. But it's poorly written. The whole thing needs to be rewritten. And they need to fix some of the changes that they most recently made that keep the city council in the dark about how city money is being spent. I thought that that was a mistake. Now, what were your other questions? There were about 5 or 6.
Well, we'll give you an extra minute for this since it is a long question. What changes would you like to see them make more specifically, and which push for more home rule?
Well, I've always been for home rule. If you go down and you talk to the people in the legislature about home rule, their eyes glaze over. Because politicians never want to give up any of their power to someone else. So yes, I would go down and just fight as hard as I could, but I would not insult them like the last group did, because they might change the Mayor Council Act for the worse again. But, home rule is something that the legislature has the power to vote for. In fact, they voted home rule, limited home rule, for a little tiny bit of Shelby County. They're very special people over there in Shelby County. And somehow they got a measure of home rule that the rest of us are allowed to have. So, yes, I'm in favor of it, but I'm not delusional enough to think that my going down to Montgomery and saying, hey, give up some of your power so we can have it, I don't think that's going to happen. We changed the minimum wage. They knocked our feet out from under us. Well, of course, I didn't vote for the increase in the council's wage, but they cut our feet out from under us on that. So, anytime we, as a council, vote for something they don't like, they'll just change the law. I mean, we've seen them in action. We know how they think. Maybe after some people go out of office and some new people come in, things will change. But, I could advocate for home rule till the cows came home, and I don't believe we have home rule. But I don't have any problem with fighting for it. And I get along with everybody down there. In fact, there's one legislature that every time I see him, he tells me I'm his favorite, and I tell him he doesn't have much to choose from.
All right, Mr. Jones, I'll restate for you. What are your thoughts on the recent changes to the Mayor Council Act? What changes would you work with the state legislature to push for, and would you push for more home rule? 3 minutes.
All right, so with regard to the recent changes, I'm against them. I believe that there should be a separation in powers and a balance in those between the mayor and the council. The recent changes have pushed that balance in favor of the mayor. In general, if there was something that I could change about the Mayor Council Act, if I was a councilor, I think that the primary thing is that council people can be removed from office, and is it a misdemeanor, I believe, if they ask the normal city staff to do anything. It's a crime. So that's kind of ridiculous. The council has the power of inquiry. So the council can ask for any information, but to ask any administrative staff to do anything that's apparently a crime, that needs to be removed. You don't need to have it. I mean, it doesn't need to be a criminal act. It just needs to be, yes, that is not one of your powers. So if you need anything to actually happen, let's work out the actual method through which, the normal method through which a request can be answered. Other than that, The Mayor-Council Act, as Valerie has stated, is an antiquated document. It does give us the opportunity to get out from under it. We can move either back into the commission form of government, which we were in prior. I think we can all say that's probably not a good idea. Or we can move forward into a council manager form of government, which many other municipalities around the country have done so. I would push for that if we had the opportunity. I would definitely advocate for us as a city to remove ourselves from the Mayor-Council Act. Because as it stands, anything that the city does that the Montgomery doesn't want to do, they will just reverse. It's happened multiple times, so we need to get out from under this act and reincorporate our city in a different manner, so that that is not a problem that we will have in the future. What was the other ones?
Home rule.
Home rule. I'm pro home rule. But similarly, Montgomery is not going to give up its power if it doesn't have to. And the answer to that is we have to actively work to develop a working professional relationship, not just amongst the council and the mayor, but also with our legislative workers in Montgomery. We have to have that as a good relationship. If we don't, then once again, every time we do anything, it'll get reversed. So the answer is we have to, over a long period of time, develop a very good relationship with them so that we can get things done.
What are your thoughts on the recent city budget, and what are some changes you would make to it?
Well, one, there was released to the public that the council is going to decrease funding for our police and for our park system. I think that's a bad move. Our park system that Councilwoman Abbott is very proud to have on her record, we need to make sure that funding for it is maintained. We can't remove it by, $4.5 million. We need to fund our education system. We currently spend less than $2.5 million on our education system and a budget of $428 million. We can do better. Budgeting and what you put into it, it's about your priorities. That reflects for years to come. If we're not going to if we're not going to take education, if we're not going to take public safety as a priority in our city, then what are we taking as a priority? The mayor's security detail? I mean, let's be honest here. If we're going to move our city forward, we have to be pushing our city forward at its fundamentals, and that's making sure our infrastructure is funded. That's making sure our education programs are funded properly. But it's not just the education programs funded, it's that we hit the areas that are in need, the nights, the weekends, the summer programs. That's the part where the council and the school board can actually work together. And as far as our security goes, our police, we're down 115 officers from what we're budgeted. And we're only getting our most recent police academy had 30 cadets, or 28 actually. We need to recruit more officers, and we need to keep them here by paying them better, competitively. So I would start with that.
Ms. Jones, Councilor.
Well, I know that y'all have all seen those proposed changes to the city budget. The council members who were in on that, there were only 5 of them. Needless to say, I was not one of them. And the cuts that they made were made without actually knowing what they were cutting. For instance, the $4.5 million for park and recreation, that funded the 72 employees who came over from Public Works to clean and maintain the parks. So by cutting $4.5 million, you cut all those jobs and the parks are overgrown messes. So I pointed that out to them and they suddenly changed that. It was fake news. So then the police department, they were cutting out all of the overtime because the police department works a lot of overtime. And so they cut all the overtime out, which ironically meant that the Magic City Classic couldn't occur because all of that work is done on overtime. So the people who want the free tickets would go to get their free tickets to something with no policemen, and who knows what would happen. So the way it should work, the council should be letting the mayor know what their needs are and what they would like to see in the budget ahead of time. It's amazing how that works. The mayor's office, the administration, starts preparing the budget in January, and then they present it to the council in May. Well, if the mayor doesn't know what the council has as a priority or priorities, then his budget isn't going to include their stuff. If you want your stuff in the budget, you have to ask ahead of time. Because once you get the budget, the only way that you're going to get your stuff in is to cut someone else's stuff out. And you know how difficult that is to do. If I say to the fire department, for instance, we're going to cut $2 million because we want to give it to someone else. That doesn't work, and my time is up. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilor. We'll start with you again, Councilor Abbott, for this one. The Birmingham Business Journal had a recent report on the growth of the metropolitan area, which has effectively been flat for the better part of 2 decades. So with that in mind, what will you do to increase metro cooperation as a means of stimulating growth for the Birmingham metropolitan community?
Well, alone I could not do anything to stimulate it, but I certainly will be part of a coalition that works to, I think you have to take baby steps here, because the minute that you start approaching, well, Birmingham, for instance, do the elected officials in Birmingham want to give up their power? Probably not. Does Homewood want to join in with Birmingham? Do we want to be one great city? I remember the vote for one great city. It passed, someone went to court, and then it failed. So I think we have to go very slowly, and probably the first thing we could do is some regional cooperation on things like the police and fire department personnel. And you know, every little bird, all 37 municipalities have their own fire department, their own police department, their own, well, we don't all have our own garbage pickup. Now, Birmingham is really good at garbage pickup, so maybe we could do all the other municipalities for them because they're farming it out to waste management and who knows who else. So we would have to start with the low-hanging fruit of things that would financially benefit all the municipalities. And as soon as we come up with a plan for something that will financially benefit all of the other municipalities, then I think they'll cooperate. And once we save people money, and they can spend that money on the school system and the parks and things that people really, really want, pothole repair. Actually, I just like to pave over everything. So if you can show the other municipalities there's a benefit and you can save money on the things that are no fun anyway, and let's face it, we put most of our budget into the police department, the fire department, and public works. The other departments have very little funding comparatively speaking, and the police department gets more than anybody. So we just have to show the other municipalities that it is to their benefit to cooperate with us. And once you have some successes, then you can move ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Jones.
Well, regional cooperation is incredibly important for our city's future. It is our city's future. That report spoke a lot about the difference between cities that had merged they had a merged city-county government, and usually most of the municipalities in that county had merged into one administrative entity. And that over the course of the last 10, 20 years, that every single city that they included in this report had increased dramatically compared to every city that was included in the report that didn't. And Birmingham had a flatline growth. We've already, as has been said, attempted that in the past, but so have other cities multiple times, and it failed the first time, and then failed the second time, and then finally came together. It's happened in other places throughout this country. We can do it here, but absolutely we have to start with the small things. We have to merge our emergency services first, and specifically jurisdictional boundaries need to go away. So that it doesn't matter where if there's a fire, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you're technically in. What matters is where's the closest fire department? Where's the closest truck? If you get in a wreck, we need to know where the closest ambulance is. If there's a firefight, we need to know where the closest police officer is, not based on jurisdiction. Additionally, we can work together on transit. We can work together on, like you said, trash pickup, but even extending from that, recycling. We need to expand the recycling that we do in this city, and we can work with our friends throughout the region, throughout the metro area, to have a regional recycling. We can work together to unify our ordinances where we can, so that there's less differentiation in negative manners, either through our tax base or our tax structure. We can unify that, certainly in certain manners. But ultimately, it's the regional economic cooperation that's going to be the key. I think that what we can do is need to stop. I'm sorry.
How do you work to improve the relationship with your fellow councilors and the mayor?
Any working relationship is predicated on trust, right? And it's predicated on respect. We need to make sure, it doesn't matter what people think about each other individually. When you go to a job, when you're hired to work a job, it's your duty, it's your responsibility to present yourself professionally, to work with your other coworkers in a professional manner. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my best to return some civility and accountability to those relationships. But it's also predicated on open communication and constant communication. If you don't know what's going on, and people are hiding information from each other, that's not good. That's not going to lead us that's going to bring us forward. That's just going to hold us back. We have to, and I will push for everybody sharing everything that we possibly can. And we need to develop not just a working relationship, but a personal one. And because that's how we can take a divided council and allow us to actually work together as a unit. And that same thing goes for the mayor. The mayor knows what he wants, and there's manners in which we can work with them. Of course, it's not the council's job to just roll over and do whatever he wants, but it's the council's job to be a check on him. But it's also the council's job to be able to work with each other professionally. And I will do that, and I will actively encourage our other councilors to do the same. And I think that's a big key difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Councilman.
Thank you. Well, I tell people I can only control one person on the city council. I can actually only control one person in all of City Hall, and that's me. And sometimes I can't even control me. When you see me get up and leave a council meeting, it's usually because I've had it and I have to go out and walk up and down the hall and recoup my sanity. So, the thing I have to say is that I have always gotten along with all of our mayors but one, and I had a few difficulties with him because I opposed his schemes. But I get along with all the members of the council. I do not like the fact that we have members of the council who are constantly baiting the mayor. That's the only word that I can think to use. You know, if you poke somebody with a sharp stick enough times, they're finally going to turn around and whack you. And that's what we've had on the council. The same people who went down to Montgomery and poisoned the well in Montgomery have caused the relationship with the mayor that we currently have to be bad. I don't have a bad relationship with the mayor. I have learned through being on the council as long as I have that fighting with the mayor is completely counterproductive because the mayor runs the administration. If you want anything done, you can't tell. I can tell one employee at City Hall what to do. You know who that is? Dr. Lee is sitting right here. He could always say no, but I can ask him to do something. I cannot legally ask one other employee at City Hall to do anything. I have to talk to the mayor or the mayor's staff. Somebody in the administration has to do that because somebody has to be in charge. You can imagine if 9 councilmen were going around telling Public Works which houses to go to fix stuff, they would be crashing into each other. So, you know, I understand the reasoning. It's just that sometimes it is very difficult to not be able to tell anyone, hey, you need to go fix this. But you can ask the mayor, and the mayor will accommodate you. So, you have to get along with everybody.
Thank you, Counselor. We'll go back to you, Counselor, for this last question that we have before we go to audience questions. What should the city do to help 5 Point South Business District be revitalized?
Well, we have a lot of things we can do, some of which we've already started doing, which is to replace some of the lighting with LED. All of it's not replaced yet, but, you know, for people to feel safe, it is important to be in a well-lit area where you don't think somebody's going to jump out from the bushes and accost you. Another thing that we need to do to help 5 Point South in general is to do something about the towing that took place of the booting of cars when they park in the wrong place. Because we passed an ordinance and we thought we were fixing the problem, and all they did was switch from booting to towing. So instead of going out and finding your car with a boot on it, you go out and your car is gone. So that's another thing we can do in 5 Point South to help the business association. Now, I think I've attended most of the meetings of the strategic planning. I think I missed one. But the strategic planning meetings are going very well. I think the last meeting had like 80-some-odd people in attendance. And people are very interested in improving 5 Point South. There's a little bit of resentment of the new entertainment district downtown, that it's sort of stolen some of the notoriety of 5 Point South as the entertainment district that's most important. So I know 5 Points wants to get that back. And the city can help with infrastructure improvements primarily, and with helping people to find this parking deck over here, because people can't find it, and they think there's no place to park in 5 Points when there actually is. So there are a number of things that we can do to help clean up, fix up, and make 5 Points look like the place that people care about. Now, it's not falling apart. It's just that it needs some buffing up so it will look better and seem more, you know, perception is 90% of the rule. So you've got to have the perception that 5 Points is a safe, clean, fun place to be. And we have to get rid of at least one nightclub that is catering to teenagers that is causing a lot of trouble. And I think the people in the audience who know about 5 Points probably know which nightclub that is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Jones?
So when I first came to Birmingham, when I first moved here, I moved here to go to school at UAB, and I've stayed here ever since. When I first moved here, 5 Points had thousands of people here every day, every time of day. It's no longer that. We know why. The city at that time, 5 Points was just it. This was the whole heart and soul of the city. Downtown just didn't exist after 5. Thankfully, that's not the case anymore. We've seen a little bit of revitalization, but it's at the expense of 5 Points. Currently, there's over 20 empty commercial slots here in 5 Points. 20. We need to work. I would work with the owners of those spots, with the 5 Points Alliance, which is a kind of conglomeration of the Merchants Association and the Neighborhood Association, working with the city and some engineer consultants to create a 5 Points master plan. And it will go ultimately be plugged into the larger city master plan. I've participated in that process, and it's been quite a wonderful one. We've had a good turnout through it, and I look forward to participating in a different capacity in it. But that's not the only thing that we can do. Not just, well, let me rephrase. I believe it's the councilor's responsibility to work with the property owners, to work with the Merchants Association, to fill in as much as possible our commercial needs. In addition, we can do things like put in a dog park. That's something that, not necessarily in 5 Points itself, but in the Highland neighborhood. It's something that our constituents really want, and I think it's something we can do. As far as things in 5 Points itself goes, we can put in bike racks. We can ensure that it's clean. There's a crime issue here, and we need to make sure that perception goes away, but not just the perception, but the fact of it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that you have a couple of questions. So, yet again, your questions should be pretty for both candidates. Don't try to disfavor or favor one necessarily. Just ask for honest answers. So, with that being said, what have you got? Oh, come on, I know somebody's got some.
Brian and Ms. Abbott, I'm sure that you've seen the recent article of the apartments that are being built, that have been planned being built where the break is, right there on the strip in 5 Points. There's a lot of controversy, not just because of gentrification, but that these units cost a lot of money, and it's causing people to be priced out of Birmingham. The reason why most people my age, millennials, move to Birmingham is because they've been priced out of the Birmingham metro area. Would you be able to maybe not let these constructions be built? Do you think that this is a problem even with these very expensive condos and people not being able to afford housing, not because we eat too much avocado toast, but simply because the price of housing is rising? So what do you think could be done about this? Do you even think that it's a problem? What would you do about it?
Councilor, if you want to go first.
Well, I am not hugely excited over these high-rise buildings going into an area that's not full of high-rise buildings. But the zoning allows it, and they're not asking the city for any money as far as I know. So stopping, like for instance, the new these are all apartments, they're not condos, so nobody's going to own them.
Well, expensive units, they're very expensive.
Yeah, and I know that these up Highland Avenue are going to be expensive because they're not looking for students, and they're looking for people who are, I'll say, older and more established. Probably people like me who don't want to mow the grass anymore. But these down here are being designed for students. They're having 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, and they're looking at UAB as being the source of a lot of their tenants. And they're thinking that they won't have cars, which I'm real interested to see how that works out. But they think they won't have cars and they'll all walk or cycle to UAB. Now, I know if you are building something that meets the zoning criteria, there's no way to stop you. Now, in this case, I think this one down here had to have some variances because they were not going to have the amount of parking that they were required to have according to the zoning ordinance. And to me, that's a problem because I'm not sure I really believe that millennials are ever going to buy cars. That's what the developers will tell you is that they're not going to have cars. But I have a grandson who's a millennial and he has 2 cars. So he's making up for the ones that don't have any cars. So, but if you're doing something that's allowed by the zoning ordinance, you can continue on. And if the zoning board of adjustment gives you a variance, you have to go to court if you don't like it. So the hands of the city are pretty much tied.
So my perception of these 2 projects, similarly to Valerie's, is that since it's already within the bounds of the zoning, there's little we can do. However, there's some considerations to have here, especially this one that's going to take the Briggs location. One, being that it's 17 stories tall, that's hundreds of people that will be relocated into this area, into Five Points. That can be very beneficial. If it's students, then you know that it's going to be a large push of young people. My issue with it is that all of those units, at least at this stage, when they presented to the neighborhood association, they said that they wanted all of those units to be pre-furnished. I don't know about you, but when I move into a location, I have furniture. That could be an issue. My other issue is, does its facade and design meet, is it going to merge well with the rest of Five Points? We have a very specific design here, and I think it would be nice to have that continued. As far as how tall it is, it's 17 stories. There's buildings here that are over 10. I think it's okay. It's not going to block pretty much anyone's view. But the issues that we can have from here are increased crime. Where are these people going to work? If they're going to be students at UAB, how are they going to get back and forth? So there's the issue of how many parking spaces there is, and how does that work? Are they going to build a parking deck with it, and so on. I think that these can be I think that these developments and other developments throughout Five Points and throughout the city can be very beneficial, but we have to ensure that you're right, having it being so expensive is not going to help us out. We can't just simply keep on funding or keep on building higher end apartments. It's not going to work, frankly, because ultimately we're not going to have enough people that can afford it. Thank you.
Just
Yeah,
more
we'll go to
information.
We'll start with Alice and then we'll go down this direction.
Okay. I just heard a reference to dog park somewhere in this conversation, and I would like you both to explain to me what the limitations on a dog park should be and where they should go, because there's been an awful lot of discussion about this in recent months, and I think some people have some unfortunate ideas about where dog parks should go. If you could expand on that, I would appreciate it.
I've spoken with the Caldwell Park Dog Owners Group and other people throughout Highland neighborhood that have an interest in having a dog park somewhere at one of the 3 parks. What has happened over time is that want to have a place where they can have their dogs off leash and have it be safe and have it be legal. Right now, we have a leash ordinance, and it's against the law to have your dogs off leash, no matter at any time. So they were allowing their dogs off leash in Caldwell Park, and so recently, over the past 6 months or so, a neighbor who's lived in one of the condos adjacent to the park has been calling in on them, and so that has gone up the chain, and it has gone to the neighborhood president, and it's gone to Valerie, and they've called the cops, and the cops have written tickets to the people who are playing in the park with their dogs. The answer to that is we can put a dog park in this city. We can put it in one of those parks. The reality is which one? The only one that I can see would be probably Rushton, because it's large enough to set aside a space that could be for it. There is another area that we could do, Avondale. That's certainly big enough as a park to put one in. We already have a dog park. It's in Georgia Ward, but it is not within walking distance for any of these people. So they would have to drive to it. It is an inconvenience. So instead of just walking out of your house and walking your dog, and then playing with your dog and then walking home, you would have to drive out of your way. I think that there's plenty of opportunities that we have to address this in a productive manner that will be beneficial for everybody involved. There's opportunities where we could maybe have certain times of day or certain days of the week that are available for dogs off the leash, and then there's we just have to, whatever we choose, we have to make sure that it's safe for the dogs and for pedestrians and beneficial for everybody.
The issue of dog parks is near and dear to my heart. I am a dog lover. I like cats fine, but dogs are my favorite. But we have a leash law. And the reason we have a leash law is because of public safety issues. Dogs bite people. Not all dogs bite people, but you can't take a chance with someone else's child saying, oh, that dog doesn't bite. Well, as soon as it bites that child, it bites. So, we have a dog park in George Ward, and we've had a number of people who've wanted dog parks in other places. But so far, we have not found another place large enough because the recommendation is to have 4 acres of land. Obviously, the parks on Highland Avenue are less than 4 acres, but in addition to that, they are used by a very densely packed population in that neighborhood. And if you designate a park for a dog park, then basically you're telling all the people who don't want to be in there with dogs that they need to go somewhere else. That puts you in a very precarious position. You've made the dog people happy, you've made everyone else very angry. So that is the situation we have. When we suggested Avondale Park, we even looked at the most hilly, unattractive part of the park, and the neighborhood voted against it. So, not to say that that couldn't change, but there's been a recent development, and Dr. Lee has worked on it, and that is this Brother Brian Park over here, which has had a severe problem with homeless people taking up residence in it. At the last strategic planning meeting for 5 Points South, there was a suggestion that that park be made into a dog park and simply fenced off, that it already has a water feature and everything. So that's something that 5 Points South will be considering, I'm sure, sometime in the future, as to whether they want this park to be a dog park or not. But that's another thing that has been thrown into the mix. I hope I didn't surprise you. So, my time's up. Sorry.
Additional questions?
Yeah. We've had a lot of projects come into Birmingham, and I think some of these projects are great, and they have different goals, these different projects. constantly hear that it's hard to get permits, it's hard to do business in Birmingham. So one of the things I want to know, is that true? Does it take 6 months to get a permit, like we heard in the mayoral debate that was down at the Harvard Center? And if that's the case, how do we make this city a city that is a good place to do business with?
Ryan, you want to go first?
I don't know.
Well, first of all, I have not heard any complaints personally of anyone having difficulty. You know, when there's a mayoral race, people start slinging stuff and hope it sticks. Most often, we hear people come to budget and finance and economic development and talk about how great the city departments are to work with to get the permits and to get things done. Now, if you're a scofflaw, you're probably not happy because you're out there trying to do business without a license, do work without permits, sneak around along the edges of legality. And in that case, you might be miffed when you get caught. But I think that a lot of that talk is talk that comes when you have a mayoral election and a lot of people wanting to throw stones at the guy who's in the office. And I really haven't heard anything. Now, somebody may jump up and say, I had trouble getting a permit, but I just haven't heard it myself. So I think we do pretty well. And we have online permitting now, and a lot of the things that you want to get done in the city, you can, if you have a computer, you can actually have e-filing and e-services, and we've done, I mean, it's not that we can't do more, but we've done a lot to make it work better for people.
With regard to opening up a business, we can do a lot better than where we currently are. I have personally helped several companies open up. I've been on the board of two. It can be a hassle if you are not used to the process to navigate it. And it's not just the city, it's the county as well. We can do, and it depends on what kind of business you're trying to open. If you're trying to open, a retail store, that can be in a lot of cases easier than if you're trying to open up a restaurant, or because then you have to deal with environmental issues, with food service and alcohol beverages and such. We do have some e-services. They are not really adequate. They are better than the county, but to be fair, what I would propose is, I propose us having a business advocate office where you would have, if you're coming in to do business at the city and you're opening up a business, or you're trying to navigate the process, we can assign you somebody who will help you navigate throughout that process. I think making our city more customer friendly is a very important step into bringing more businesses here. In addition, making our city more business friendly, we have an occupational tax and an income tax, and that has been pushing people and businesses away from our city. I've recently spoken with some people in a biomed company who are no longer looking to be in Birmingham when they leave Innovation Depot because of considerations of the tax structure of the city and what the city is willing to offer them versus other places. It is imperative for our growth and maintenance of the city to keep every single innovative and entrepreneurial company here. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get about 2 more questions. Let's go with that gentleman in the back over there and this lady over here, and we'll call it after that.
One of the biggest problems over where I live, if I live as a resident of the United Business Center, is the city does too good a job with disposal of rubbish. So all the landlords know they can throw anything they want on the street, and in 2 weeks, the city will come pick it up. And I mean, like, and what happens is people will hire a tree service, and And the tree service will say, well, it's $500 for us to cut it down and haul it off, but it's $3 for us to cut it down. Well, they put it on the street, waiting for you guys to come get it, and it sits there for 2 weeks, and it just makes the whole neighborhood look awful when there's all these piled up sofas and mattresses and cut down trees, and it's because the public works guys will pick up anything and take it. I don't know what the solution is, because they're doing a great job, but people are taking advantage of you and making the residents, the neighborhood look like much worse. So what's the solution to that?
So let me get it straight. You're complaining because the city does a good job.
Well, no, I'm complaining because the landlord is taking advantage of the service.
I was just teasing you, you know that.
Oh, I've been
Yeah, well, this is one of my pet peeves, and of course, you realize the last question and this question are both the mayor's job. The council is not involved in this stuff, either the permitting or the public works, because public works reports to the administration, and they're the only ones who can tell them what to do. But I have complained loudly and long, because when public works comes and picks up a tree that's 48 inches in diameter and 8 feet long, and they think the homeowner cut it down, like really? Really. And I have gone out and confronted the public works people and actually talked to their supervisors on the phone and explained to them that the homeowner did not do this work. Now, the city will pick up anything that a homeowner puts out except a dead body or an appliance. So if your dog dies, don't put it on the street. But if, and appliances have chemicals in them, so the city doesn't, and tires, they don't pick up tires. So, okay, we pick up everything else. So if the homeowner puts it out, we'll pick it up. If a contractor puts it out, the contractor is not supposed to be putting it out, they're supposed to be hauling it off. But the only way the city knows is if somebody turns them in. Because there's never a city worker standing out on the corner when this occurs. So that's one of the problems, and believe me, I am nosy as heck. And, you know, you've got to confront people, you've got to write it down when you see things going on. You've got to be the eyes and ears of the city, because there are not a bunch of city employees sitting around or driving around trying to catch people. You know, we've got inspectors, but there are like 8 of them for the entire city. So if you are the eyes and ears and you turn in the people who are doing wrong, then we might catch them and not go pick up their stuff. The other thing is when somebody is evicted, the county comes and takes all their possessions and puts them out on the street. The city does not control that, and the city cannot haul it away for like 2 or 3 weeks after it's put out to give the owner time to pick it up. So there's some things we can't control.
Councilor, I do think the city would pick up the dead body. I think that's the police, though.
I was thinking about a dead animal. I was hopeful it wasn't a
So, what I would add to that is, one, yes, it's technically in the mayor's jurisdiction to handle that, but it is absolutely the council's responsibility to set priority, to set policy, to set ordinances. So it's in our jurisdiction as well, just a slightly different method. We're at the beginning, he's at the end. What are the problem being that we're picking up trash that we shouldn't be. If all of our troubles were so bad. The only answer really is that to catch people doing it, to turn them in, to make sure that we can find them for doing what they're not supposed to be doing. And if we don't know who's doing it, we can't do anything about it. Thank you.
Grab you and then we'll call it to this.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Bosberg, resident of District 3, but I wanted to ask a question that affects the whole city. So I work with an organization that's part of a coalition that includes the NAACP, ACLU, Southern Poverty Law Center, a bunch of immigrant rights groups, and Muslim civil rights groups that has called on the council to vote in favor of the sanctuary city ordinance that was presented in June. I think these are organizations that are working with and representing people who are dealing with the brunt of racial and ethnic hatred, and with the federal government's failure, especially in light of recent events in Charlottesville, to take a stand against that treatment, and that's using the federal government as an instrument of oppression and of hate. Calling on the city to do what it can to not use city resources to collude and carry out those misguided federal priorities. So as councilor, would you vote in favor, if it hasn't been approved yet, of the sanctuary city ordinance, and will you fully implement it? And if you say that if your answer is that for some reason that's not possible, if you could point to specifically what provision of state or federal law prevents you from doing this, since this ordinance has been carefully drafted in order to comply with those laws.
As councilor, yes, I would vote in favor of it. There is nothing that a city can do, that we would do in Birmingham, that is going to break state or federal law. Period. The end. If there's anything that we're going that it turns out that we are, we'll change it. It's with regards to sanctuary city. We're the home of civil rights, y'all. What does that mean? If it's going to mean anything, it has to mean something going forward, not just in the past. People who come here illegally, people who come here seeking refuge, if they're here illegally and committing a crime, well, we will do what's necessary to move them along the path. But what a sanctuary city actually means is that you're just going to hold suspected criminals for the normal period of time and release them afterwards, and not hold them for an extended period of time until Immigration Services gets off their bum and, actually comes to get them, however long that may be. It's not the city's responsibility to act as ICE agents. It's not the city's responsibility to have our police act as a military either. We specifically in our Constitution separated the duties of officers of the military and of immigration enforcement. We should keep it that way. I would go further to state that we can, if we're gonna pass the sanctuary city ordinance, we should go further and work with and go further to actually provide some services to those who are in the most need. That can be legal services for those who don't have it. That could be help actually immigrating appropriately, so becoming legalized. I believe that we could even work with the State Department to open up maybe consulates here for our largest immigrant population, countries, to enable a more direct interaction. There's a lot of services that we can provide for immigrants, and it's important, especially considering what's happened in Charlottesville, that we take a stand morally in the defense of those that are defenseless.
Well, I have a much more guarded response to the question, because I've been on the city council for a long time. That's one of the, benefits and drawbacks of being around for a long time. Now, first of all, before any ordinance reaches the city council agenda, it's supposed to have been reviewed by our legal department, which for some reason we call it the law department. But anyway, so they have this ordinance, and they have not reported back to the council on it. But the last time they reported back to us, they said the city has no legal basis to do this, and that these folks need to go to the legislature and get them to pass the appropriate laws. It's interesting that the city of Birmingham cannot do anything that is not allowed, or no laws that the legislature does not allow us to make. So we cannot do things that the legislature doesn't allow. So, everybody's got an opinion, okay? But if the legislature doesn't allow it, then Birmingham can't do it. So my point to these folks who want to do this is go to the legislature and get them to pass the enabling law first. Then we can act based on what they allow us to do, which is the only thing we can do with any law. It actually has to be the purview of the city. Now, it is ironic to me that, when they were fighting Chief Arpaio in Arizona, they didn't want him to be picking up illegals. But now that Donald Trump is president, they want all of our city police departments to deal with the problem of illegal aliens. So which is it? Is it illegal or is it legal? Because our country has gone after two different people for the same reason, and in one case it's illegal, and in another case it's legal. Maybe it depends on who our president is, I don't know. But I would err on the side of caution. If our legal department tells us that we should not be doing this, I will not be doing it. Now, the questioner says she's an attorney and she knows how to make it happen. We'll meet and we'll find out about that. But if the legal department says we shouldn't be doing it, they're supposed to give us advice to keep us out of legal trouble. And I don't want Sessions to come down here and take away all the city's money because we said we were a sanctuary city. I'm just saying, the rhetoric is out
We
there.
can't let him control what we're gonna do as a city.
Yeah, but we're not fools. We have plenty of problems in Birmingham that require funding. We don't want to cut off our noses to spite our faces. So we can talk about this again later.
Obviously a topic of great concern lately. We're running out of time here, so we're going to move to our closing statements. Counselor, if you want to, again, we'll give you 2 minutes, make your closing statement and your pitch for the people that are here.
Well, this is the hardest part of this because it is not natural for me to say, I'm the best candidate, you should vote for me. But I'm going to say it anyway, even though it's hard, because I believe that my experience is worth its weight in gold. After you've already stumbled and made all of the errors, you get smart and you don't make those same errors over and over again unless you're not smart. The things that I have done while I've been on the council is to try to watch very carefully how our money is being spent. I don't waste my money, and I wouldn't waste your money. And I feel that that is a very important thing because we have a lot of people in city government that just absolutely love to spend your money. They like to travel. They like to go off for training. They like to go to Paris. They like to go to London, Germany. We have a lot of very nice trips that have been made on your dime. So I have watched where the money is going, and I personally do not travel on your money. I don't even train myself on your money. And what we do with those funds that are in our district budget is put them into our fund for park improvements because we feel like that's important. District 3 has a lot of parks. We've got a lot of complaints about what's wrong with them. And the other thing is that being a neighborhood person, being a resident for 48 years of Birmingham, I am interested in the citizens and what the citizens want and what benefits the citizens. I don't think that the business interests should always be the winners in any conflict. It started out with zoning, but it's all kinds of things. When you have bars in the neighborhood that are letting teenagers in and all kinds of problems are occurring, the residents are the ones who get hurt, and the people who come in and leave again later, they don't care. They're just visiting, they're just passing through. So I believe you should vote for me because I am the experienced candidate who is interested in your interests, not other people's interests. Thank you.
Well, first off, thank you all for sticking it out the whole night. I appreciate y'all being here. This is this is an important moment. So I'm going to answer a question. I'm going to answer something that I wanted to say. I'm going to say something I wanted to say previously. It starts with, you have to have the courage of your convictions. If you're not going to stand up for them, then what are you worth? In Birmingham, what is our future? Are we going to be tied to the past? Are we going to let fear prevent us from moving forward? The answer is no. I don't have the 40 years of experience working for AT&T, like Valerie does. But I have over a decade of experience in working with local government, working at UAB. I have my master's in public administration. I've been very active in the community here with a variety of organizations, not just with the neighborhood associations, though I've been active in that as well over the 18 years I've been here. This city is in a very important moment. We can choose to move forward. We can choose to build a better Birmingham. I believe in Birmingham. I've worked with many people who do as well for many years. I want to see a city in which we allow our neighborhood associations, we empower them to make decisions. I will push for a participatory budgeting system, push it through our neighborhood associations. This will allow our citizens to help decide how our money is spent. I think that's important. That's part of accountability. We need to, I want to utilize our neighborhood associations as the local engine that drives growth and revitalization throughout our city. We can do that with creating, never mind. In the end, the point is this: we need to move our city forward. I have the experience to do it. I have the education to do it. I have the drive to do it. But I can only do it with your help. But together, we can make a better Birmingham. Thank you.
I'd like to thank our candidates for coming out this evening, Roland and Marshall, and I would like to thank all of you, the residents, for attending as well. This was for you, and I hope that you got something out of it. And let me emphasize one more time, tomorrow is the Senate vote. Next week is your city vote. Go and get your friends and neighbors, take them to the polls, get them out there, because democracy doesn't work unless you participate in it. So thank you once again, and y'all have a lovely evening.
It's easy for me to just drop some good.